Hi, and welcome to Black Belt in Real Estate. I am Peter Jumrukovski. I'm a local real estate expert here in Los Angeles, also a former world medalist in karate. My big mantra is the more you help others, the happier you are. And that's why I'm here today. I love to help people, and real estate and your home is such an amazing thing because you cherish your memories and it could be one of your best investments as well. And make money living is just a remarkable experience. And I remember this 2 years ago. I helped a client sell his home. He bought it for 1.8. 4 years later, he sold it for 2.8. And that's when, it clicked for me. Like, you can make 1 million living in Los Angeles. Isn't that crazy? Anyways, today's episode, I have one of the best business development and real estate coaches in the world and the US. His name is Coach Bill Pipes. And we're going to talk about what you as a seller in 2024 should think about. How's the market? When is a good time to sell? How do you choose the agent to get the job done? How is the new NAR ruling going to affect you? And so forth. So welcome, Coach Pipe, to Black Belt in Real Estate.
Peter, so good to be here. And what an amazing thing that you're doing for the entire community of consumers that are inside the Los Angeles and the surrounding valleys as well, too. I mean, just good on you, bro. Like we need
Thank
more,
you.
we need more people. You probably are like, no, less people doing this. We need more people doing this to be able to keep all these great, men and women that are listening right now educated to make intelligent decisions, dude. So
Yeah.
congratulations.
No, thank you for saying that. And I've always believed, even though I was a world medalist in karate and I competed many years, and hence to win a competition you have to beat somebody else. But that being said, I always believe in, great people carry each other up. We help each other, and there's a way where we can all win, both you as the consumer and us as a real estate agent. So let's focus on win-win. And my main question right now is, the challenge that a lot of our clients are sitting in right now. You're locked into a good interest rate and you're living in a home that's a little bit too small for you. You want to make that move, but you're a little bit scared of, taking the jump because your payments are going to be much higher. So, like, how do you deal with that? And how's the market if you're a seller in LA right now?
Well, I think that's a real concern. Like I've actually gone through that with my house. My kids are moving out. I'm in one of those. We're really seeing a market right now of sellers that are life situations, death, divorce, job change, job transfer, kids. My kids are, I've got a 18-year-old that's 17-year-old about to be 18. He's going away to college, and I have my daughter, and I got this 6,200 square foot house.
Yeah.
I'm like, what am I gonna do? That I use half of it. I use the upstairs and they're downstairs. So, but at the same time, I look at selling this house, buying another one, and oh my gosh, the cost basis I have. So it's a little bit different than
Yeah.
me. It's like, hey, it's gonna be too much. But I get it. There's everything that I'm gonna bring to you guys today is not my opinion. I want you to understand that. I don't believe in opinion. I believe in data. What the data is showing us is 30 to 40% of the people that are in their houses are like fed up. You want to move, you're done. We've been in it, we've been locked in it for a long period of time, many of us through COVID, et cetera. We refinanced into it, brought cash out. And now we're sitting on these incredibly low interest rates and we want to move. And unfortunately, all the surveys actually show is that until we're within like 1.5 to 1.75% of an interest rate that we really don't have that domino fall. So if you're in a 3% interest rate, then you got to look at 4.5, 5%. Well, we're not going to be there in a long time in order for people to go mass movement in. So you got to really measure out for yourself the numbers and the analytics behind it, right? And also ask yourself, what do you think is going to happen with interest rates in the future? Not what you think, but what does the data show us? Right now, everything shows 3 to 4 rate cuts this year. That's from when we say the market is pricing that in, it means that the interest rate swaps, what those are investment strategies that institutional investors use to be able to bet on what the Fed is going to do with the Fed meeting coming up in a couple of days. There's a 99.7% chance that according to the market, according to the interest rate swaps, which is like it's like futures and commodities, right? Where I can buy pork bellies and long and short them, or it is options in stocks, right? Where I can do puts or calls. Well, there's interest rate swaps. And so right now, the market is not pricing, interest rates are not being priced in to have a cut from the Fed until July. So at that point, what you're going to see is more competitiveness. What you're going to see, which is great for a seller, you can get more competitiveness on your home, et cetera. But you're also going to see an increase in pricing. So, and if rates do come down, because we're answering that question, what's going to happen with rates? When they do come down, right, and they come down 3 or 4 times this year, if you were to sell right now and take advantage of this inventory like that we don't have for buyers that are actively pursuing it, and you get in a little bit higher interest rate, then you have an ability to do what's called a no-cost refinance that almost every single bank and mortgage broker has, which says I can refinance my house within 18 months and I get that lower rate. I don't acquire any more points and fees, right? And then I get the best of both worlds. So like for me, I need to have that certainty of what's going to happen with rates. And I see that right now based upon the investors that I talk to, the hedge funds individuals that I talk to, that rates will come down. It's just a matter of when. And that will happen in July. So now you got 18 months from July. Can rates come back down into that 18 months because that no cost refinance? Can they come back down enough for me to be able to make sense right now and have a window of maybe a year that I'm going to pay a little bit higher to get the house that I want before number 2 that you got to ask yourself, when is a great time to sell? Well, if I'm selling and I'm buying, well, I want to take into consideration the competition that I'm going to have in the future. Well, if there's not a lot of inventory and rates are coming down, there's more competition, there's going to be fewer homes to choose from. Now I'm stuck again. I'm stuck because I can't find what it is that I want. Whereas now I have a lot more options as inventory is not as constricted currently. So,
Yeah, I mean it's a real concern, and we're having these conversations every day with our clients. But there are ways, and I think one thing that we tend to forget when we talk about the rates, sometimes it's just like you gotta move. It
yeah,
happens.
yeah,
And also like lifestyle. Some like I meet client. I'm just helping a client right now. They're locked into like a 3%, but they bought a house that's $1 million more, and just because they know that in a year or two, first of all, you will have the appreciation, but also more competition. So I think they're making a wise decision. They did get an awesome house, their dream home, at a discount.
yeah. That's exactly a good discount, especially comparatively to what's going to happen in the future. I mean, because
Yeah.
home prices are still going to go up. Everything is projecting, 3 or 4% price appreciation from Goldman, Fannie, Freddie, Realtor, Zillow, all the NAR, et cetera. And I just look at it, like what is my risk adversity
Yeah.
as a consumer? Am I willing to take a small risk of having to pay? Can I pay for 6 months a higher monthly payment? Can I pay for 12 months at a higher rate, knowing that I'm going to get the chance to be able to pull that rate back down in the future? Now, here's the other option as well, too. If you're in a marketplace where there's new builds, well, then a lot of the builders are actually offering buy downs in terms of the interest rates. And that's another piece as well, too, that where you get the opportunity to be able to actually see those lower rates. I mean, dude, I was seeing rates in the 5s, with certain builders. And so it makes that a lot more appealing at that point, right? So there are ways to do it. My thought is if you wait, not just my thought, but the data shows if you wait, you're going to have more competition. More competition means higher prices and less to choose from. So,
Yeah. And I'm curious. So somebody's listening to this show right now. They're like, hey, okay, I've decided to sell, but how do I choose a good agent? What are the like top questions I should ask? And like what does that process look like in your opinion?
number one is what is their marketing plan
Yeah.
to be able to sell your house? Can they show it to you? Do they take you through it on the listing presentation when they're sitting in front of you to present their value? Do you feel comfortable with it? Do they show you examples? See, the great professionals, the ones that I have the privilege of working with, are that sell hundreds, 100, 200, 300 homes a year. They're codified and synthesized in their approach on their listing presentation. They sit down, they're gonna show you and they're gonna take you through, etc. That's number one. I want to know what they have done or what they do, to market my house, to be able to create exposure. Number two, do they explain the market effectively to me? Do they take the time to educate me or you as a seller on what the market is? Notice I just took you through in the last 5 minutes some specific data that, why? Because I'm a professional and professionals know the insides and outs both of their local market and also of the national trends of the market as well too for real estate. So I want to know their knowledge base, and do they take the time to take me through that? Last but not least, believe it or not, someone that cuts their commission, I'm probably not going to work with them. And I know that sounds counterintuitive because, it may be like, hey, I'm getting net sheet and my net sheet's going to show higher levels of profit for me off of the sale of my house. But see, I want someone that's going to negotiate. The market is not where right now as a seller. We can still get multiple offers, but it still requires an aggressive salesperson to be able to negotiate that price effectively for you. I want someone that's going to do it at whatever at a premium commission, and I'll pay for that premium because I know I'm going to more than make it up in terms of what I'm going to get from the negotiations with them. That 1% or 0.5%, right? In most cases, the great agents are making that up for the client because they negotiate more powerfully than the agent that gives up their money right off the bat.
I like that. One thing that I also think is very important is even before the first meeting, you will see how they approach it. Do they send you anything pre-meeting? Do they send a
Pre-listing,
calendar invite?
pre-listing package is so critical. Like, if they're not sending something out to me that says, here's who I am, here's my track record of success, here's our codified marketing proposal for you, here's a list of testimonials and reviews and people that you can reach out to, which, by the way, I'd reach out to those people, see how it was, right? Okay. Right? If they're not giving that to me in advance, again, there's just a level of preparation that goes into that I want to see, because how someone does one thing is how they do everything. If I'll tell you this, if someone's late, I never hire them. I just don't, right? But that's because how we do one thing is how we do everything. The level of preparation that they show you in their job interview. And that's what I want you to think about, guys. This is a job interview that they're applying for the job of selling your house. And if it's a job interview, they should show up professional, prepared with a resume type that they've pre-listing package they've sent out to you that prepares you for the appointment. They may have even called you to do what's called pre-qualifying, where they ask you a series of questions to make sure they have all the information. That's what the high-level agents do, and that they know their value and they stick to their value, because if they're going to negotiate powerfully for themselves, I know they'll negotiate powerfully for me.
I like that. And obviously, if you're listening to this and you want to put me to the test, give me a call. I would love to interview for the job. And as a matter of fact, I always encourage everyone that I meet to interview a couple of agents, because I love competition. That's how we excel and become better. And ultimately, you as the consumer should choose the person that you feel can do the best job for you. Finally,
I have a rule of three. I interview three people for everything that I do. I don't care if it's like my windows to get cleaned, or, when I was choosing the cleaners for my house or whatever. It's always a rule of three. And sometimes I may cheat and do two, but by the time I do that second interview, I know the first one's really good. But typically it'll be three individuals. So 2 to 3 people that you interview. I know my agent friends are going to kick my butt on that, but actually the mediocre ones they'll be upset that I said that. The really great agents welcome competition, right? That's the thing you got to recognize, because they trust what they do and there's a track record of success that they have.
Yeah, and I think if you're listening to this and you just interview one agent and they said during the presentation, like, why don't we sign this now? You don't have to talk to anybody else. I think that's a big warning signal. Obviously, if you feel 100% comfortable with that person and you don't want to talk to anybody else, by all means. But we talked about this before in the other show, is like one of two things are going to happen. Either you feel more comfortable with the choice you're making, or you see that there's something better out there. And that's what we want. That's a free economy, right?
Dude, that's the economics of competition,
Yeah.
right? Everyone, and with all these changes that have just taken place with the National Association of Realtors, um, it truly does cause the level of professionalism to go up. And what you guys are all going to notice as people, as homeowners, right? And you go to sell your house, you may think, oh yay, in the past I had to pay a buyer commission, right? Because it was a cooperative component. Like you would list your house at 6%, 3% would go to the whatever was set up. A percentage would go of that 6% would go to the person selling your home. The other percentage would go to the person that is bringing the buyer to your house, called cooperative agency. And you may be thinking, oh wow, that's going to disappear. It's not. Okay, what's disappearing is that your agent can negotiate, or excuse me, can advertise that on what's called the multiple listing service, or that's where all the listings are actually showcased. Now what's going to happen is you as a homeowner and a seller will be getting offers that will have that as a seller concession that is actually worked into it, so that it's part of the negotiating that takes place at this point. The buyer agent commission is not disappearing, right? It's just the way that it is being negotiated and collected is changing at this point.
And do you believe that if I'm a home seller now, and should I offer buyer commission, you think?
100%. Like 100% you should offer it. It makes, I mean, I hate to say this, it makes the house more appealing for someone that's actually out showing property at this point. You know what I mean? So if that's something that's in concessions that is actually in there, then, I know what NAR is thinking, and not NAR, but what the Department of Justice and NAR and all these other individuals are thinking is it levels the playing field. But I think it just changes the way that things are collected and the way that negotiations take place. Period. That's all it does. It makes those that are willing to continue, because you can't advertise it. You can't put it on as a commission into the multiple listing. But having that as something that you're willing to do gives you an advantage over all the rest of the properties that are for sale, for sure.
Awesome. And is there anything else a home seller should think about in 2024 before I let you go?
Um, Buy the house because you want to buy the house. And if you can, don't worry about the interest rate. The interest rate will come down and you'll get a chance to be able to actually reset that. If you're unhappy, like, dude, I don't know, for me, life's too short. I love my house, man. Like, I'm actually doing this podcast in my home office. I love my house. I love my backyard. There's so much that I love about it. Is it going to be too big for me? Probably so, but oh well, I'll deal with it. You know what I mean? But if you're in a situation, life's too short to be unhappy, and to let a couple hundred or $1,000 stand in the way of your happiness. Come on, make different decisions that allow you to be able to actually have the house that you want, knowing that you can pull that cost basis down in the future when rates come down, and you can refinance it out at that point. So just make the move because you choose to make the move. Make the move because it truly makes you happy. Be financially responsible. Don't get out over your skis on this, but don't wait for the perfect day to be able to actually purchase the home, right? Because the stars are not going to align and the market is not going to crash. And you're going to miss out on an opportunity where you won't be able to, because there's not going to be a house that you truly love, that you really want. Right now, you have that chance as a seller to capitalize on getting your home sold and moving to the next area, next phase, the next segment, the next chapter of your life, for sure.
Thank you for sharing that, Coach Pipes. I think I think about this a lot. Sometimes as an agent, we get caught up in the numbers, the data, and all of that, which is very, very important. That's one aspect of making decisions. But we're also talking about a personal home. And most of us, we work very hard in order to experience the beauty of life. And most of that takes place in our, sanctuary.
That's
So
right.
that's another thing to consider, because I meet a lot of, both buyers and sellers, and that haven't made a move, and then you hear the shoulda, woulda, coulda, and we all had that uncle who was able to buy, a house at the beach for 200,000 20 years ago. But I'll think I'll end with this Chinese
Hey,
proverb.
dude,
Yeah,
hold off on the Chinese proverb because I
yeah,
want you to end with that. But I want to say something to everyone really
yeah.
quick, dude. I'm so sorry for interrupting you, man. It's
No, of course, of course.
rude of me. Your home is not an investment. Your home is your house that you live in, that you build memories in. If you want to invest in investment properties. Like, watch my cryptocurrency, my stocks and securities, the bonds that I'm invested in, right? My investment properties. Those are my investments.
Yeah.
I didn't buy my house to run it up and grab all this money. I mean, it's a byproduct. I bought my house because when I walked into it, I went, that's where Christmas is going to take place with the kids. I get chills. That's where Christmas is going to take place with the kids. This is where the baby's room is going to be. Oh my gosh, this. And we had no, like at the time, my wife and I, my ex-wife now at the time, we looked at this. We didn't even know we were pregnant at the moment that we bought the house. And she said to me, she goes, this would be great for a nursery. I'm like, nursery? What is that? And now like next door was where the nursery was. You buy the house to create the memories, to seize the day, carpe diem, right? It isn't just an investment, it's your home, man, and you'll remember it forever. Life is too short to be miserable one day. What's the Chinese proverb, bro?
The best time to plant a year was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. But yeah, uh, mic drop, Bill. Thanks again for coming on. I know you have a very busy schedule. You're helping a lot of people. We appreciate that. And if people want to connect and get to the source of all this information you're sharing, what's the best place?
They can always reach out to me through Instagram. I'm at Coach Pipes. Keep in mind, I am here on this planet to serve you guys. When I say you, I mean the consumer. Because here's my mantra: the consumer deserves a better agent. And the way that I serve all of you is by making sure that the agents that I train are professional and they are able to give you the information that you need to make intelligent decisions based upon your motivation and your risk adversity. Feel free to reach out to me if you guys ever have any questions, etc. And either myself or someone from my team. But if you reach out to DM me on Instagram, it's really me. It's like I still work that stuff, man. So I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you have about the market trends, etc. I'll most likely give you national data because I don't have the ability to be able to actually know all the markets. But I grew up in Southern California. I understand. I have clients and agents that I work with that are in both in the Valley, over in Pasadena, and downtown in Los Angeles proper. So any questions you guys have, I'll always be here. And by the way, Peter's a great agent. You really want to look at what he's doing. And if others aren't doing that, it's a markup in my book for him. So thank you guys. And thank you, Peter, for having me on, man.
Thank you. And thank you for listening. And if you're in the market of selling and want to have a real, authentic, and honest conversation, just reach out to me. Happy to talk to you. Also, if somebody is interested in real estate here in Los Angeles, send them this show. Let them hear a different narrative from somebody like Coach Pipes that is like there in the trenches every single day. Thanks again, guys. That's it, and I'll talk to you soon.